Okay, I'm going to try to explain what I did because I know a lot of you guys know more about carburetors than I do. But this needle, unbeknownst to me previously, come on, focus, where you at? Come on. This needle is a very precision piece of the metering of the carburetor. Dang it. I cannot get that to come into focus, but well, it likes when I move it, doesn't it? Anyway, what I had to do to my needle was shorten it off the end. But in this area, there we go. This area meters your part throttle condition, this taper. And then this much of the needle's down in the jet at wide open. So what I got to demonstrate here is with the needle in the slide is open and the needle is metering at some point here. So with my dummy carburetor, I can explain a little bit of what I did. Now, and if you really want to know some more about this, find somebody else, not me. But if you look right there at the very bottom, the needle's real fat. So the fuel coming up from the main jet is limited. And then it tapers down and tapers down. Now if you look, I'll take it so the throttle slide is right at the very top, which is as high as it can go. Now if you look how much needle. I'm going to slide up. Watch the top of the carburetor and watch the needle. Look how far up that slide is. The needle's still in the hole. There it just starts to come out of that little jet tube. So probably right in there, it's unobstructing the fuel. Well, look how much slides up. So I had to take that much needle because of the obstruction that it was causing. And the pictures in the post I put up show how much shorter the needle is. And I thought it would change at low end, but when you're all the way down here, because figure right about there is probably idle, and then here would be your first eighth, and then a quarter, and then 3/8, and then half, and then 5/8, and then 3/4, and then wide open. So as that needle gets smaller, it allows it, and you change it with your main jet. My problem was anywhere from here to here, that range there, it was stupid rich. And then once I'd get up here, the air would start to match, and then I'd get up here and it would be lean. And I was consulting with a couple guys, and he said the first thing he had me do was, typically Honda has these set up, and obviously there's a lot goes into the needle profile, but they have them set up in the center groove. If you can see that. See the clip? Come on. But anyway, he said move one groove down, thus raising the needle. So the needle would sit higher in the slide and further out of the jet and be less obstructing to the fuel flow. Well, when I did that, then the needle was higher up on the taper as per the air that was going through. Same amount of air, just a little more fuel. The needle was up a tick. So then I could reduce the main jet size so there was less air getting through here in addition to the needle taper and the reduced main jet size. But when I went full, then I had all air and not enough fuel. So what I ended up having to do was run the needle one shot leaner and then getting rid of the whole bottom portion. You see right there, the slide is totally clear of the bore, but there's a lot of needle still down in there obstructing the fuel, down in that hole. So like I said, you can go all the way up to here until the needle's actually out of the way. That's a 1/4 inch, close to a 1/4 inch of needle you got to remove if you're stuck in a situation like this. Now normally, there isn't somebody's half decided way of porting to contend with. It isn't a bigger carb than the engine should have, and usually if it is, you have means to accept the bigger carb. I had to go in on my manifold and smooth my manifold out to match this. And like I said, biggest cam you can get from Webb, 10 1/4 piston, and a severe porting job with a DG pipe. So I'm sure that when you're in this region, it's a very erratic and weird intake signal. It's not, this cam likes to scream. It's better mid and top than it is low end. But it was getting way too much fuel regardless. Now it's just kind of weird because, you know, you can't take an old muscle car and idle it around in development. It's not going to be happy. That's basically what I'm dealing with. I think I'm pretty much there. I'm going to ride it some more, get some more color on the plug. But I'm just, I'm not explaining carburetor theory to you because I don't know 88% of it. But what I saw when I started doing this and when I was talking back and forth with my consultants, he said the very end of that needle, probably the last 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch is going to be what dictates your max fuel. So if you get rid of that, then you are actually on full main jet. So when I have mine, the needle is actually, you can see that step in there. The needle is actually probably even with the bottom of the carb bore and just sitting inside of that thing. It can actually push to one side or the other. And I have it tapered, so when it comes up, if it does push to one side or the other, it'll find center and go back in, and it won't bend the needle or break it off or hold the throttle wide open. So that's what I did. That's what I explained. But I had no idea how big a role this needle played in the metering. I thought it was just kind of like at the end, and when it come out of the jet, the fuel went by, and when it closed, the fuel didn't go by. But all this area in here is very precise metering for your part throttle condition from quarter to 3/4. I think I was looking at some of the charts, but I actually shortened it about to right about there, then tapered it, and then thinned this area down. So I'm right at the very bottom of that taper, because this taper goes basically from there probably to there, and then this it continues to taper, but this is your real part throttle metering. And you can get different shape points, you can get longer or shorter, you can get different length needles, but because I had this extra one that is the exact same number, you can see the number there, as the one I modified, I thought, so I screw up a needle, I'll just look for this number and get another one if I need to while using this one. I only ruin things that I have 2 or 3 or 5 of. I won't ruin a one-off. But that's basically the long and the short of it. And I don't know, when the engine seats up and begins to break in, I may then, you can't even tell it's a new engine, it looks just as dirty and crappy as the old engine. I may, when the ring's seating up and the valves seat up and everything's cool, I may revisit this and maybe just go a little shot richer, just because some fuel's good, a little more is better, and if it's 20 degrees and I'm out here skidding around in the snow, I don't want it running lean. But that's my little carburetor deal. Have a good one. Happy Independence Day.